Thank you, Köszönöm. I was supposed to be after the lunch. I'm not sure if it is better now or after the lunch. Do you still have enough power to follow the presentations? Still? So I see quite dark, but I believe that you are. So I know I should already finish more than an hour ago, but I will try to make it a bit shorter. So sorry, I don't speak Hungarian, despite I'm 15 years traveling here quite often. I still manage to know just few words. So, but I know from my predecessors that I will follow with certain content that is relevant what you were listening till now. So I'm representing Extreme Networks, and I thanks to our distributor Elnet to have a possibility to present here what we are doing. And so I'm representing Central and Eastern Europe. So I'm talking about the analytics, but before, just who is Extreme Networks? I'm not sure if all of you heard about this company. Maybe now, in the light of acquisitions, announcements of Avaya networking and Brocade networking, maybe you know a bit more who we are. So it's a company that was established in 1996 and all the time is doing the networking. It's actually 4 years ago when Extreme Networks acquired Enterasys, which used to be the Cabletron, which is me coming from Enterasys, and last year it was the Zebra Wireless. The company that was a part that used to purchase from Motorola. I'm sure everybody knows Motorola, so now the Motorola Wireless to the Zebra is in our company. And a few weeks ago we signed an agreement to acquire Brocade Networking, and we are now waiting for the completing the acquisition of Avaya Networking, but there it still takes some time. So just to explain a bit who we are, and that the company is very growing and will be more visible in the market. So what we are doing, something what we really do all the time. So we are the networking company, that's what I said. Extreme Networks, it's a networking company. And more than 20 years, we are doing wireless and the wired technologies. And all the time, what was very important is not just the wired and the wireless, but it's developing the own management solution I will talk about. That is actually managing what is happening in the network. And this is a security conference, and this is something what we are extending the visibility and control to the networking, which is the inherent part of the security. And because the management system is really more than 20-25 years ago, working in the multiple customer environments, doing the multi-vendor environments. So important is to really manage, secure, analyze users, devices, and the applications. And now all the trends going to the cloud, it's very important that the visibility and control in the network is actually available even if you don't insist to have an on-premise solution. Because especially the smaller implementation where you cannot have all the equipment, all the management control in your premise, you might want to have this constant visibility provided from the cloud, either the public or the private cloud or the cloud made by your partner. And all this approach, it's our integrated SDN strategy. It's an ecosystem where we do integrate with other vendors. I will mention some of them later. Where do we integrate with our uniqueness, which is the management. It's a visibility control. It's a one database where we store all the information about the devices, about the users, about the applications, and this information, this visibility in the network, we share with other vendors. So this is our what we do, software-defined networking. And the formula quality experience. Have you ever heard about the quality experience? Have you any of you heard about how to measure the quality experience? It looks quite a new term. I already met with a couple of customers how important this is. And quality of service, I'm sure everybody knows what is quality of service. So it's about application availability, network quality, class of service, bandwidth, performance, latency. If we add the second part, which is the user experience, something what you do expect, what you deliver to your clients, to your customers, content, what is the interface, how usable it is to provide the services, their engagement, prior experiences, expectations, enjoyment, emotions. So this is a user experience about how the clients are happy to utilizing the IT, the service you provide. And the third one is the context. What are the conditions when you provide a service. Recent history, demographics, location, preferences, behavior, intent. So all these three parts are actually making the formula, which is very important for us to measure that formula, because this is something how you measure the service you provide, the value you provide to your clients. And this all makes together the quality of experience dashboard. Quality experience, which is measured as objective, as subjective, contextual, and behavioral. So it's either good, bad, better. So this is the quality experience. I'll show you some dashboards later on how to measure the quality of experience. And why I'm talking about this quality experience? Because this is some kind of measurement how the IT departments are evolving from the past to now. What is expected from the IT? It's to deliver the value. It's to deliver as well as security, but as well the value from the IT. So what was tolerated in the past? That was about the lengthy change process gated by approvals. IT acted as a system integrator, connecting different devices, configuring via command line interface, and usually it was really made as a handmade. But what's expected today with all the trends, that IT is creating their own self-service portal. They are acting as a broker, to brokering the different services which clients are expecting, and all has to be automated, repeatable. So the IT is actually changing and acting some kind of service provider within the organization, not anymore the IT as some kind of system integrator changing or providing the service based on the changing the CLIs. And how together, how we can help as an extreme. There are two components, two key attributes that in order to automate and orchestrate the current applications in the network and make them secure. It's a visibility, first of all. It's about to have a full detailed visibility of every device, every user, every application that connects into the network. It is about increasing the security, a very detailed profiling of every device which is connected to the network. And it's about identifying threats and accelerate resolution with the tracking, right at the first port in the network. So it's not enough if it is visible on the firewall. It should be somewhere, if it is access point or it's a switch, on the really first entry point to the network. And then to have a control on it. So enable new services without complicating the network infrastructure. So in order to increase security, I cannot add more components. I have to integrate the current what I have. Transform from service level segmentation to the micro segmentation to be able to deploy different policies. Not only the VLANs, which was in the past. As you know, VLAN is not a security solution at all. So it's about the different policies that every user, every device has a different treatment in the network, different policies, different access controllers, different quality of service, different rate limits, and so on. And this should be integrated, it should be as a one integrated system driven by the application, which is a software-defined networking. And so how we are helping, I mentioned already the management system, which is something which is unique because that's a management system we are developing for more than 20-25 years. And it has four components. So first of all, it's a management. Management that all knows, like the SNMP management, tracking the devices, configuration management, capacity planning, discovery topology. On top of that, the second component is a control. This is exactly what I said. When the device is connected to the network, it gets the automated policy, automated profile when it connects. If it is the bring your own device, I probably need to apply different access control lists, different policy than if it is the laptop which is completely secured. So it's about different flexible, the guest portals, the remediation portals, where the users can easily onboard to the network and they can connect without calling the IT departments to grant them the access. And obviously that access should be secured. And on top of that, the third component is analytics, because to see to layer 7, it's very important to have very detailed visibility of what's happening in the network. So if I grant the rights, it's important to differentiate even on the application level. So we have currently a solution that is able to recognize thousands of applications in the multi-vendor infrastructures based on the fingerprints, and then the visibility and control is going beyond layer 4, which is very important now when the applications like Sky for Business are implemented in the network and you need dynamic quality of service assignment, then you have to recognize what is the application, because the visibility only to TCP port is definitely not sufficient. And on top of that, what is very unique, that all the database where we store the information about users, devices, flows, about the applications, has the open interface. And this open interface can be, with that, leveraging this open interface, we can connect to other vendor solutions. And one example, there were my predecessor from talking about the checkpoint. I know there was a presentation from Fortinet. I think there will be the Palo Alto as well. So we have an integration which is very useful use case showing the software-defined implementation. We have a visibility what is behind every IP address in the network. We see the MAC address, we see the host name, we see what could be the username, what are the flows, what are the applications. And just imagine that this information you can actually exchange with the firewall management system. So the first use case is ID or IP to ID mapping in the real time, because this is in the database. So this information can be put to the Fortinet Palo Alto checkpoint management systems. The second, it acts as some kind of distributed IPS, because if one user is connected to 3 devices, we know that the username has 3 devices and one violates the policy, somehow go to the page which is not allowed, we automatically disconnect or put into the quarantine all 3 devices. Because firewall usually cannot see that in the real time. We see that because of network access control. And actually stopping the open channels, because when firewall realizes that the device is disconnected, it might take some time. The network access control knows that immediately when the device is disconnected. So this is just an example of the integration with the pure security solutions, where we utilize a solution calling Extreme Control, which is a multi-vendor network access solution, which has a very detailed visibility, what devices, what users are connected to the network, taking the information right from the infrastructure. This is where we get the information, from the access points, from the switches. Extreme Analytics, it's something what I said, it's seeing beyond the layer 4. It's seeing the applications in the terabit speeds. If we talk about like the large deployments, could be the small deployments, but it's very important, it's showing the application visibility right at the infrastructure. So which is primarily focused on the campus LAN environments where you have a critical applications and you want to have a visibility what's actually happening inside your network. By the way, this is the solution which is actually used in NFL, and they are using as a marketing tool. But they are the customers, they are using that in the manufacturing, in education, in the government. An example I can mention here in Hungary, we have a customer, National Road Infrastructure, which are actually using this analytics solution as well. And this solution has multiple use cases where you can use it. So if we talk about the how to discover the things you usually do not know. And this is a typical example of every proof of concept we do. We always find something you are not aware of. Because that traffic doesn't have to go outside the network, but usually the firewall can recognize it. But if it's inside the network, you probably would have to put the firewall everywhere. So this is just an example. I was actually supposing to do the live demo, but thanks to this, well, the internet connection which is here, this is crappy, with crappy Wi-Fi. So I'm not that brave to do the live demo here because it's really slow. But I show at least some screenshots. So this is just an example that you have a visibility what applications were actually happening in the last hour, and just take the iCloud. And in iCloud, that's what actually was what traffic was sent in for the iCloud, so the users stay connecting. So here you can immediately see that there was a user who was using the iCloud, how many bytes, and that's the statistics of that user, of that single user who was actually connecting to the iCloud. And with the browser, you can search with all the database of the application flows. And if we talk about the security, I know it's not that visible here, but I was actually querying the peer-to-peer applications that were used in the last 3 days. And here you can see there is a group of BitTorrent peer-to-peer protocols. So from the security point of view, if you have visibility in the network to all the applications, you might easily find every flow that is, let's say, the violation of the security policy. BitTorrents, every peer-to-peer protocols, because it's visible on the layer 7 right at the infrastructure. Another example, the use case, which is not that related to security, but it's about how to secure the applications, how to secure the performance. And it's about measuring the application and network response time. So if there's a problem or the user has a problem with certain application, you can easily recognize, is it a problem in the application? Is it a problem in the network? So immediately know there's a problem, and further dig down, where's the problem? Is it really, if it is in the network, is it a certain area of the network, is it the problem of the group of the customers? So you can easily track where's this particular problem with the response times. And it's another view how to measure the response time for multiple applications throughout the time. So it might see that someone is complaining to the response time on SAP, and very often it's happening in healthcare with the health information systems, that the response time is very long. You can easily see what caused the problem with the response time. So it's a typical example in the healthcare that if there have some backups or some solutions on the storages, sometimes the application might not have the proper response times. So this is the performance management in the network. And the third area, an example is a customer Panasonic in Czech, which they are producing the televisions. It's a big plant in Pilsen. And one of the use cases they actually decided for a solution, it was the business analytics. And business analytics is a measuring of what applications you're really using. I mean, in terms of an example, you have some business system that you are paying the maintenance for, how many licenses you have. And if you measure in the real time what are the most customer or most clients using in particular time, you probably don't need 500 of the licenses if in the peak time it's a 200. So this is measuring the real use of the business applications you have. So, and because we recognize thousands, at the moment it's 13,000 fingerprints, they are customizable, so which means even your own proprietary application can be adjusted, make a fingerprint, and you can measure the use of your own proprietary application. So this is just how to quantify the application return on investment. I was talking about the quality of experience dashboard. This is just an example of the quality of experience dashboard for the network protocols. So I'm here, there will see a lot of network administrators, so you know the protocols like LDAP, Radius, Kerberos, DHCP, DNS, and here you have multiple different sites. And throughout the time, you are measuring the response times, the network response time, application response time for these protocols. So if you see that like DHCP has the long response time, probably might be a problem. You might want to see the alert that something is not working well. So this is just an example how to provide the quality of experience dashboard. Because on one view you might see the critical network protocols, how they are performing in your network on the multiple sites. And I promised at the beginning from my part to talk about more the actionable analytics, because this analytics is actually, it's a multi-vendor analytics going into the real details in the both wired and the wireless network. So at the moment our solutions is able even to provide the visibility and control. I mean the visibility and enforcement of layer 7 policies right at the access points. Just imagine if you have some hyperdense environment, have a lot of people, and then suddenly your network is not performing well. To think about applying quality of service, changing quality of service, applying the rate limits right at the access points. Because when it goes to the firewall, sometimes it's too late. Because your network is down, because there is like 40%, 50% of all the traffic in the network is YouTube, which is pretty usual example that the network is full of YouTube, but you would need to rate limit right at the access point. So this is a possibility what we are offering today, that right at the access point we can enforce this layer 7 policies. So, and as you see, I was showing the management, everything is actually visible in one management platform. So, in order to make a summary, to be right on time, so we want to help you to gain the 360% view of the network. From the visibility and control to the devices, profiling of the devices, applying the policies, through further on to add the insights with the analytics, to see the layer 7 visibility, what applications, what is the performance, how to deliver quality experience, and to have an overall view of the network solution, doing the multi-vendor management. We have many customers, large Cisco HP customers managed by our management system. So, and what is very important that here in Hungary we have partners. Some partners, they are really knowing our technologies. We have Relnet as a distributor, and for us very key. We are not the marketing company that much. Maybe we now have a bit more noise because of the acquisition, but for us what's key is the support. So if you are actually using our solutions and our customers are using our solution, the retention is very high because our support is key. So, and this is very important. We do not outsource the support, it's our people, and if there is a problem, we are able to solve that very easily with our partners as well, back their back with us. So, using extreme network solution, it's about relations. It's not about like partners that are reselling some turnkey solutions. There are tools that are helping you to increase the visibility and control. It's about innovative solution that is about deliver the real value from the IT. It's not about that you do feats and speeds. It's about the value, how to get from the IT. It's about people and services that go to the extreme lines. And as we said in our logo, connect beyond the network, because it's about relations in between people, in between your customers, your partners. So helping to give you tools that increase the visibility and control in the network, which is going hand in hand to the proper security, which the conference is about. So that's all from my side. I hope it was a bit beneficial. So if you're interested in more details, I'll be outside, or you can always contact Relnet team or our business partners. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope it looks that nobody's sleeping, so it looks that it was a bit at least interactive. And sorry if speaking English, but I think Chinglish was not that bad, right? Okay, thank you very much for the attention.